Hello, I'm William Gallagher. This is 58 Keys for writers who use Macs and iPhones and iPads. And what time do you have there? Oh, apparently lots and lots of time. Listen, thank you for the emails about the previous one I did at 58 Keys when really I just kind of shot through some writing apps. One thing that's come up though is as a result is yes, we're stuck at home and we can write, but maybe we could also be stuck at home and do something about reading apps. Now, yeah, that's what I thought too. How many reading apps can there possibly be? And all right, as it turns out, more than I thought. There are two that are quite obvious, quite well known, though there might be things about them that you don't know. Then there are two more I want to show you about, more specialised ones, I think, and you will really like, hopefully both, at least one. So let's do them in that order, obvious and then special. The most obvious one first, Amazon's Kindle. Now, the entire world knows Kindle as this pocket e-reader, a hardware device. But a smaller set of the entire world knows that Kindle is also this. It is an app for Macs and iPhones and iPads. When it came out, actually the hardware Kindle I thought was pretty ugly, but it genuinely beat the iPad because you could read its screen even in direct sunlight. Hands down, killer feature, Kindle wins. Since that original Kindle though, Amazon has tried to make the device more and more like the iPad in its ability to run other apps, for example, to play movies and things like that. I think it's failed. But those versions of Kindle have also lost this read in direct sunlight feature. They've thrown it away in an attempt to give you a muddier video screen. If I were going to buy a Kindle today, a hardware Kindle, I would be looking at the Paperwhite versions. There may be others, but I've seen these. They actually do retain the direct sunlight thing. I still think they're a bit ugly. Not the hardware so much, not anymore anyway, but the text in the books you read, the typography. Sometimes it makes me twitch. I mean, look, there was an update last year or the year before where Amazon, who makes Kindle, made this big announcement that the great new feature was good typography. Look, the first Kindle came out in 2007 and they're only looking at the typography, the type you actually read on a decade or more later. And unfortunately, it even makes me twitch a bit when I'm not using Kindle hardware and instead using the Kindle app. I think it's better. I've read a lot of books on Kindle for iPad, quite a few actually on Kindle for iPhone too, and I've at least looked up a fair few for reference or whatever on Kindle for my Mac. So the Kindle app is fine, but the reason it succeeds is that it is Amazon's and that you can buy just about any book that Amazon sells. It's cumbersome actually. I'm wrong, you can't buy the book in the Kindle app on your device. You have to go to Amazon in Safari or whatever on your device and have it delivered to your device. It could be the same device and you're going around. But if Amazon didn't do it this way, if they let you buy straight through the app, they'd have to give Apple 30% cut of everything, and you understand. But it's still a bit of a pain for us. Whereas there's no such pain with Apple's Books app. I really like this. I like how you can more easily, more naturally buy books right from within the app. And I like the typography in it too. I like it much, much more. I will admit that if the difference between Apple Books and iPads, if it used to be bigger, it isn't anymore. Okay, the difference between the device and the apps is still huge, but on the iPad, it's getting closer and closer. So, for example, let me show you. Right, so this is Apple Books on the left, Kindle on the right. To my eyes, Apple Books is still much better, but unless they're side by side like this, I get used to Kindle, and I have to. For one reason, really. Apple Books has a far smaller range of books available to buy. I don't actually know how many fewer or how it actually compares to Amazon Kindle, but routinely I will find a book that I want is not available on Apple Books, and it is always on Kindle. In the past also, Apple Books has been more expensive than Kindle. Yeah, Apple, yeah. It's been worth it to me to pay that extra because of the reading experience, but lately I must say I'm not seeing that much of a difference in cost at all. Right, please picture me cracking my knuckles. Actually, could you do that since I actually can't in any way? Ow. I have a very specialised reading app that I've been using for years that I want to show you about, but before that, I want to say thank you and show you one that I've become a fan of since we last spoke. Since the app, the 58 Keys about writing apps, and I started looking into this because people were asking, I found something I love. It's called Libby. Through Libby, you can borrow books from your local library. That's it. Borrow them, read them, return them. I realise now that I did actually know about Libby before we started talking, but whenever it was that I last looked at this, I think it was only available in the United States. And now it's also here where I am in the UK, and I have signed up to my local library. Not true. My very local library, the one that's actually a minute's walk away, isn't on Libby, but 3 others within a few miles are. You need a library card, but my Birmingham City one works with all of these libraries, so I'm in. If you haven't got a library card, Libby will actually tell you what to do, which presumably boils down to get a library card, but it'll explain it. This really is in so many ways like going to an actual library. You're limited to what they have selected, what they have on offer, and you're also limited to what is currently available because books are borrowed to your device, and so they're not available to the next reader until you've returned it. You get 21 days. Actually, in the time since I've signed up to Libby, I've read and returned 2 books each well within 21 hours. The reading was so good, the books were so good, and we have so much time, really, don't we? Last one I want to show you. I might mention one that I think you'll have heard of anyway, but need to mention it. This is also by far the most specialist one. This is Weekend Read by script writer John August and colleagues. Find a script in PDF form, open it in Weekend Read, and the app converts it into this more readable form. To be fair, when you're on a large iPad like this, I think it's practically pointless because the PDF itself is perfectly readable. That's the way scripts should look. I love that layout. But when you're on an iPhone, it means the script can be read for pleasure without you forever scrolling, pinching, zooming, all of this. I like that. I like it a lot, and I have opened a fair ton of scripts, PDF scripts in Weekend Read. But for me, the real reason to get this app, apart from that convenience on the iPhone, is that it comes with a library of scripts already. This changes a lot, but right now today, from the app itself, I can go into here and I have a list of, Knives Out is a great read, by the way, or the one I'm reading now, A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. I haven't even seen the film, I'm just reading the script because I love reading scripts. I should say, Amazon's Kindle app, Apple Books, and Libby are all free. Weekend Read is free as well, but it has a paid version that you might well want to upgrade to. It gives you more space in your library. And I should also say, of course, that there is Audible, which lets you listen to books. I love radio drama. I've written radio drama, and I have often been absorbed by BBC Radio 4's a famous book at bedtime series that's like this, and yet somehow I'm not drawn to audiobooks for some reason. Well, no, there is one reason. Some of them are so compressed. An actor friend, actually reads books for Audible, and once I didn't recognise his voice. It was so squeezed down to make a smaller file size. I am told that this voice quality issue, it's so important that it's practically the first thing reviewers on Audible report on, so do check out those reviews before you fall for Audible's constant have a first book on us advertising. Oh, and I should also say that there is, of course, one more way to read books. Paperback. Do you remember paperback? This is actually one of my books, so I'll include a link to it. I'll include a link to it when I've finished reading everything else. Listen, it's clear, as you see, there's more to reading apps than you think, isn't there? But I will always remember being at a bookstore in Chicago Airport, deciding that, no, I didn't want to buy this particular book. I was tired. I had plenty to read already for the flight. And then regretting that decision as I stood in the security line at the gate waiting to board. And being able, just as I stood there with my passport in one hand and an iPhone in the other, to buy the ebook version of that book. And I'm sorry for the bookstore, but yeah, I was a chapter into that book before I even got to my seat. It is amazing that we writers have such access, such instant access to so very much. Yeah, I just wish we didn't have quite so much time at the moment to read it all. Thanks for watching. Happy reading. Do subscribe and more importantly, do take care now, okay? See you soon.